I would like to thank the Greek Embassy of Spain for extending the hospitality to me in my book. And I'd also like to express my gratitude to my Spanish publisher, Auditor Ediciones, and to my translator, Ersi Samara. It's an honor and a joy to be in your company tonight. It was back in 2012 that I wrote a libro de Katerina, το βιβλίο της Katerinas in Greek. It was 10 years since my mother's suicide, and I guess I just missed her. I missed hearing her voice. I missed being in her company. And so I decided to recreate her voice, to sort of impersonate her, become her through writing. And the story that I had to tell was her story, because my mother, amongst her many sufferings, suffered from abysmally low self-esteem. She thought very little of herself. She viewed herself as a failure, as a failed woman, a failed wife, and a failed mother. And I guess I was trying to correct this view she had of herself, and share with my readers the person who I knew my mother to be. Of course, back then, when I was writing the book, I could never in a million years imagine that it would garner such an audience, that so many people would come to read it, and through the book come to love Katerina and feel as though she were very intimate, as if they had actually known her. Also, and this is something for which I'm perennially grateful, it is a very dark book. It is a book that begins with a scene of a suicide, and before it was published and after it was published, I was like, who's going to want to read a book where the protagonist kills herself on the second page? But apparently, thousands of people did want to read about Katerina. I mean, I grew up in a very weird family. All three of my mother's siblings suffered from some kind of mental disorder, and their behavior was not customary. They were, in their way, they were decent people, but they were very strange. And so I grew up surrounded by this strangeness. And of course, ever since I was very little, I realized that there was something wrong with my mother. That was when she started to become Katerina instead of Mama, because I had to be the parent in our relationship. I had to make sure she was taking her pills, she wasn't drinking too much. I grew up very fast, hoping that by becoming an adult, while I was still a teenager, I might heal her, I might make her, I might kill the depression. But of course, this wasn't meant to happen. It was a losing battle. The vast majority of people have a sort of filter which stops them from speaking their mind at all times, especially when it comes to speaking to a child, to addressing a very young soul. Katerina lacked this filter. She didn't have it. So she made me into her confidant when I was very, very young. By the time I was an adolescent, I knew everything about her past. I knew everything about her private life, even her sex life. And so I came to resemble her. I lost my own filter and became a person who always speaks their mind, no matter the consequences. And of course, being a writer, there is no filter. Nobody holds you back and tells you what you can or cannot write. And so this was a book of brutal honesty. I held nothing back, and the only things I actually changed were the names of my mother's brother's sister and her surname. The rest is just as it happened. It's 100% the truth of Katerina's story, of her life.
¿Cuándo decidió contar al principio del libro el final de la historia? Porque a mí no me parece sorprendente y me parece que a lo mejor se podía haber hecho de otra manera.
I think because for the past 20 years, it will be 20 years this December that Katerina killed herself. It has been one of the most defining moments of my life. I mean, coming home at the break of dawn, and the living room is empty, but all the lights are on in the apartment. And I have this gut feeling that something is wrong. This time, something is really wrong, and I cannot make it right. And I came upon her stark naked. She didn't have a stitch on. And I just stood there and gazed at her and thought to myself, well, this is my mother, or rather, this was my mother. And so I was not there for her birth. I was not even there when she was dying. But I had to begin with that day, with that breaking of dawn, when I found her. It was as if she was still with me, but of course she wasn't. And I wanted to depict the finality, the brutality of suicide, the despair that a person has to feel in order to choose death, to actively swallow more than 400 pills in order to die. There was no other possible beginning for this book.
I would like to ask another question.
Of course.
I don't think it's not very polite to speak about religion, but when I was reading your book, and now that you said this about that you, although your mother had committed suicide, you still consider she was there. You said, it was not my mother, it is my mother. Somehow, do you believe in resurrection, something like that? Because when I was reading the book, it is like one person who has died is still living in another dimension, obviously, and telling her own life, no? So I don't know if there's a religious angle in your book.
My mother, when she was depressed, sometimes she sought relief from God, not religion, because religion can be very cruel with the weak. I mean, suicide is considered a mortal sin. The people who kill themselves are supposed to go straight to hell because they have thrown away God's gift. But how much of a gift is it if you're born with bipolar disorder in 1953 in Thessaloniki? Is it really a gift? I don't know. She was never truly religious. I would like to believe that someday we might be reunited, but it's so much like a fairy tale. It's hard to actually truly believe in immortal souls. And I've tasted despair because I too have tried to kill myself twice, because I was also born with a disease. I'm also bipolar.
Yo quería añadir también que a lo largo del libro, aparte de ver todos estos personajes, se ve la historia de Grecia durante el siglo XX, y es muy interesante porque bueno, es un recorrido por la ciudad de Tesalónica y por todo Grecia durante el siglo XX. Es decir, toda la familia nos lleva de la mano para conocer de verdad Grecia, lo cual es para muchos españoles pues es un país demasiado poco conocido, que debiera ser más conocido. Petros.
Muy buena observación.
Sí, sí. Y eso es un aspecto para los españoles muy bueno de la novela, porque claro, que a lo mejor para un griego no le llama tanto, pero para nosotros es algo que nos produce un gran placer en la lectura de la novela, ¿no? El conocer Grecia, y la historia de Grecia a través de la historia de esta familia de Auguste.
And of course, there's a historical connection because my birthplace, Thessaloniki, Salonika, one of the things that made it great in the past was the infusion of the Sephardi population, the Jews who came from Spain when Isabella exiled them. And this tragedy became the gain of Thessaloniki, because it flourished thanks to the exiled Jewish population.
Thank you very much for being with us. I'm hoping to read your book first in Spanish, and then I will read it in Greek. And I would like to know why you chose Auguste Corteau as a pseudonym, because nothing helps me to understand.
Yes, it is weird, I know. We have to go back to 1997 when I wrote my first book. It was a collection of short stories, and they were heavily influenced by the work of one of my literary idols, the Marquis de Sade. So there were tales of great brutality and violence and gratuitous depravity. And back then I was a medical student, and the thought of my professors, who were extremely conservative, ever finding out that the weird one with the beard and the long hair and is the one who wrote that filthy book, it terrified me. So I had to use a pseudonym. And I decided I picked a French one, although Auguste stems from another idol of mine, August Strindberg, whose dream play I had read back then, and he had rocked my world. So then I had the first name, and the surname, it was just a French red herring. Of course, after a while, it became known who I was and what my real name is. Not very easy to pronounce either. I mean, Chatzopoulos, unless you're Greek, it's not very easy on the tongue. But yes, I chose to write under an assumed name because I didn't want anyone to know that I was trying to be a writer.
You're not trying anymore.
I'm constantly trying. It never ends. You never know whether you're any good. You just keep doing, putting in the hours, and I don't know. perhaps other writers are more confident. I never know if I'm doing what I'm doing well.
Que en primer lugar, Auguste, muchísimas gracias. Petros.
Thank you.
For your Spanish new friends, Petros. Muchísimas gracias. Thank you very much.
I'm truly grateful to you all. Thank you for this lovely gathering.
And we're really happy that you are such a good person, and such a good writer, and that has been able to share the story of your family with all of us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Me gustaría hacer una entrevista breve, que es una entrevista que inventó el escritor Truman Capote en 1972 con una serie de preguntas y que ya se lo habíamos trasladado a Auguste para que las tuviera presentes, y le voy a trasladar esas preguntas haciendo la traducción de las mismas.
Fun fact, I have translated Truman Capote's In Cold Blood into Greek.
Ah, you have translated into Greek. So you are an expert.
Okay. He was a wonderful writer, a very tortured soul, but a wonderful writer.
Okay. Well, the first question is, if you had to live in one place without the possibility of getting out, which place would you choose?
I would choose my home. Happiness grows here.
Okay. La segunda pregunta es, do you prefer animals to people?
Yes, I believe they are vastly purer of heart. They are kinder.
Are you cruel?
Unfortunately, I can be cruel, yes.
Do you have many friends, Auguste?
No, I'm afraid I'm not a very likable person.
Which qualities do you seek in your friends?
That they bear with me, and if possible, that they love me.
Sexta, do your friends tend to let you down?
It's been known to happen, and that is why there are so few of them.
Yeah. Are you an honest person?
Honesty is a true luxury. I use it sparingly.
Auguste, that I believe that you are really an honest person. What do you like doing in your free time?
I listen to music, I read, and I glue myself to my husband.
What scares you most?
I have spent more than 2 years of my life clinically depressed, so it is that kind of despair that scares me the most.
What scandalizes you, if anything?
I am impossible to scandalize. I am scandal.
La siguiente, the next one. If you have not chosen to become a writer, for instance, lead a creative life, what would you have done?
I'd have liked to have been an analyst, and perhaps I'd have been a good one.
Do you play any sport?
God forbid. No.
Can you cook? ¿Puede cocinar?
Yes, I can, but I need a lot of motivation, like physical bullying. Go cook.
Okay. If Reader's Digest asks you to write an article about an unforgettable character, who would you choose?
Well, my husband forbids me to write about him, so since this is a hypothetical situation, I would write about all the ways he's unforgettable.
Así que es una declaración de amor. Next question, Auguste. Which is the word with the strongest sense of hope in any language? Which is the word for you?
Kindness. Kindness.
And the most dangerous one?
The most dangerous word, superiority.
Next one. Have you ever wanted to kill anybody?
Ah, yes, many times.
Bueno. What is your political orientation? Now, the ambassador is listening to you.
Politically, I am a pessimist.
If next question, Auguste. If you could be something else, what would you like to be? Si pudiera ser otra cosa, ¿qué le gustaría ser?
I would like to change places with my dog Jerry for a couple of days.
Okay, we are in the 18th question. Which are your main vices? ¿Cuáles son tus vicios principales?
Okay, so as you can see, I smoke and I drink and I have a very foul mouth. But you can view all of this also as virtues.
Yeah. And your virtues? Your virtues, what are your main virtues?
That is the question. I suppose I'm loving and devoted, but you'd have to ask around to get a clear picture.
Y la última, the last question, Auguste. Imagine you are drawing. What images would you go through your head?
That is a typically Capote question. No. I will not imagine drowning.
Thank you very much, Auguste, for answering.
Thank you.
With
Thank
as
you.
an honest person, answering.